Hey everybody, welcome to Inside AWAI. This is where we do a monthly topic on copywriting opportunities that you need to know about for your career. I'm here with Heather Robson from Wealthy Web Writer. Hi Heather.
Hi, Pam. Thank you for having me today. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, we love having you on these things. Now, this topic for today is how to attract freelance writing clients via a magnetic website. And what we mean by that is a lot of people aren't sure what to put on their website at all, especially when they're brand new to the world of freelance writing. So we're going to tell you exactly how it all works today, and then you'll be all set, no problem. So I'm going to push ahead. Our agenda today is why a freelance writing website is a must for you, how to attract and delight clients with your website, a 5-step plan to get your website up and running, what other freelance writer websites look like, and you're going to see almost on every slide an example of another freelancer website. So even today, if you can't scrutinize each website, we will have the slides posted or, the replay posted, of course, so you can check them out and feel comfortable with how to do your own. And then, of course, we'll open it up for Q&A at the end, as we always do. So with that, I wanted to introduce Heather more formally. Heather is the managing editor of Wealthy Web Writer for 10 years now. You've been at the helm?
Yes, I have been at the helm for 10 years, 10 and a half, actually. Yeah.
So she knows about wealthy web writers and their freelance websites. And actually, I think it was in June, we did a whole series on how to make your website really great, especially if you're focused on a niche industry, which we'll talk about.
Yes.
But you also, Heather, have 20 years of web and content marketing experience.
I do. I don't feel that old, but I do.
Oh, that's okay. Somebody in another one of these said, Pam, how long have you been in the industry? And I was like, 1980. 40 years. I'm not that old. How is that possible? Yeah, scary. Yeah, I graduated in 1980. So there you go. But enough about me. So Heather's also a published fiction author. What kind of fiction do you write, Heather?
Oh, I love sci-fi fantasy. So I am 3 books into a 5-book series. They are self-published books. I'm way too lazy to go through traditional publishing channels. I tried and realized, I'm just too lazy. So they're available on Amazon if you like fantasy, particularly with a little bit of sci-fi layered in there. Check them out. You might enjoy them.
Well, it's funny because you say lazy, but I can't even imagine you do so much all day. I wouldn't call it lazy, but you've got a full plate for sure.
That's true.
You also do speaking and teaching and writing for us about copywriting, content, the user experience, which is an interesting new emerging opportunity for copywriters. We can mention that a little later, but. You also are a popular instructor for several of our programs, especially as a teaching assistant and now running some of your own, which is wonderful. Heather is a great teacher, very kind and patient and clear, very much focused on practical matters, which is really helpful. Okay, all the theory is great, but what do I actually do now? And that's where Heather shines. So,
you're making me blush, Pam. Thank you. I love to teach, and I think that's why I'm probably popular. Yes, the practical aspect, but I have such a heart for helping people learn how to write, and I get to encounter so many great writers with so many great stories and aspirations, and watching them move forward with those it's just a pleasure.
Yes, I am in the same boat. I love teaching too, and I love seeing how people respond and make careers for themselves based on what they're learning. So it's pretty fun. Speaking of careers, okay, so we get this question almost every day. If I have a LinkedIn profile, is that enough? Do I really need a website? Well, yes. The quick answer is yes, you need your own website. And the reason is it's something you own. Basically, your LinkedIn profile, it's great, it's fabulous, it's a great place to connect with potential clients. But you know what? LinkedIn owns that. So they control what people see, when people see it, how people see it. They can change tomorrow. How that all works and you have absolutely no control over it. Now, we've done sessions on LinkedIn on how to make the most of it, but next week there could be a change. Like I just found this picture from an article in March. All you need to know about the latest LinkedIn changes. Like, what? Mm-hmm. So that can happen and pull the rug out from under you sometimes. Usually it's for the better, these changes, but still it's an adjustment that you may not have anticipated or you don't control. Go ahead, Heather. Yeah.
I think that's a really excellent point. Back in probably when I was just getting started with Wealthy Web Writer, we saw a lot of people building out their business almost completely on Facebook. And then Facebook really did yank the rug out from under them. Now that's less likely to happen on LinkedIn because LinkedIn has a paid membership for members. And so they're really there to serve the people on there. But this point about owning it is really, really important because as you're building a list, as you're making contacts, as you're adding content, you do want to have control over that, over the way it appears. Like you say, you want to make sure that you have your own list and that if something goes away, you don't lose all those contacts. And so there's a lot of value in owning your own stuff. And so LinkedIn is a great tool, but it's not your hub.
No. And it's a great place to start if you're just brand new and you're like, what do I do first? You would want to polish your LinkedIn profile. So you talk about the services you offer, the kind of markets you want to serve. That's awesome. But ultimately, you want your own website that you can make your own with content, images, samples, testimonials, the way you want to show them to people. Yeah. It's all in your hands. So that's really exciting about having your own website.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to speak really quick to the point you just made about LinkedIn at the beginning. I think that is a really valuable thing to keep in mind. One of the things, and we all go through this when we're new to web writing, is we're excited to get started, but a lot of us find reasons not to get started because we're also a little bit scared about contacting the clients. And so it's possible to use your website as kind of a barrier. I'll start reaching out to clients when I have my website up and it's perfect. And so I tell people, no, you're going to put yourself up on LinkedIn. Yes, you need a website, but you're going to put yourself up on LinkedIn today and you're going to start marketing today because I want everybody to get in that habit of making those connections and talking about what they do because that's so key to your success. So LinkedIn, very valuable for removing that barrier that you may have set up for yourself to marketing yourself. But don't let it replace your website. That's super important.
No, in fact, on LinkedIn, you will want to have a link to your website because, a potential client may see your LinkedIn profile and be like, oh my gosh, I want to know more. I want to see samples and things like that. So they will click on your website link on LinkedIn to get over to your hub. So let's talk about that. Recently, Sandy Franks wrote a cool article on our website about a Forbes magazine article. It's like an article about an article, and now we're turning it into a presentation. But it was really cool because it was 9 reasons to own your own website as a freelancer. And we took those 9 reasons and really positioned them to freelance writers, copywriters, and content writers because it was more general about any type of freelancer. So let's just walk through those.
All right.
And I've used, I don't know all of these copywriters that we're featuring here, but they've been, I've seen them in different articles on Wealthy Web Writer, different articles on awai.com, and they really fit the bill of what we're talking about today. So I don't know each one of these writers personally. Some of them I do, but we wanted to just show you a variety of how simple and clean and professional different websites are looking out there. So first of all, it's the face of your business. LinkedIn is the face of LinkedIn, honestly. And you can set up a profile, but it might look like lots of other copywriter profiles except for the words you use. So on your website, it's your face. It's a canvas for your work. It does the talking for you in your voice. It showcases your experience and skills. Particularly in a niche industry like this person here is a nutrient-dense copywriter, and she focuses on health, wellness, food, and beverage brands. That's her niche industry or niche focus. So she's speaking to marketers specifically in that industry more on this website than she ever could anywhere else, really. Yeah. So anything to add there, Heather?
Yeah, I really want to underscore what you said about showcasing things in your own voice. So we talk a lot about the know, like, and trust factor, but honestly, we can't talk too much about the know, like, and trust factor. And we often talk about how trust is most important, and it's true. People won't do business with you if they don't trust you, but don't underestimate the power of that like factor. And on your website, you really do have the most space and the most opportunity to help your target audience and your ideal clients get to know you and get to like you. And when that happens, they'll like look for reasons to work with you if they like you. So your website gives you the power to do that.
I like that. Good. Okay. It's the best way to brand yourself. So clients expect you to have a website if you're saying you write web copy. Like, ta-da, you know what I mean? If you don't have a website and you say you're a web copywriter, that's a little red flag for clients. Like, well, I can't tell you how many times I've seen ads online or gotten emails from companies saying they do SEO copywriting help or SEO content help. And then you're like, you look at their website and it's not optimized at all with any SEO words or anything. And you're like, that's a little bit of a dangerous thing. So here, you really get to brand yourself, establish your credibility, talk about your background, and set yourself apart. That's the main thing. And I just wanted to mention why I showed this example. Liz Farr, who's an AWAI member, is a CPA and worked for accounting firms for years. So she branded herself as B2B writing by a CPA, content marketing for accountants and those who serve accountants, written by a CPA. So that's pretty awesome. If you're an accounting firm, or you sell accounting software, or you're running an accounting professional event, who are you going to go to? Liz Farr, right? Because she knows the market. So this is how you set yourself apart. You brand yourself in that industry or as a specialist.
Yep. It's really important. You want people in your industry to think, to like associate certain things with you. So in this case, they associate Liz Farr with accounting and with B2B. And they do that because Liz has made a consistent effort to create these associations for them on her website and across things that she's written where she publishes in other places. And again, your website is just the best opportunity for you to do that in a way that you have complete control over.
Yeah, and what's cool about Liz is she told me about a year and a half after making the leap from doing taxes every year and all that grind, she now makes more than she ever did as a CPA, which is like, wow.
Yeah, and she gets, like, I'll reach out to her and she's like, oof, I'm kind of booked for 3 months. And so, if there's something we can do out past that, which is the sweet spot, that's where you want to be. I think her story is just so amazing. She's done great.
Yep, she's done really well just by going into the niche she knows. Now, so it helps you establish credibility. So Steve Maurer here, who many of you may know because he's pretty prolific on our social media sites and he's very helpful to fellow members. Just a few years ago, he jumped into this whole world completely green, but he understood that where he comes from as an industrial manufacturing employee for many years, he knows the audience for that world. So his website is establishing that credibility. It actually says, I can help you speak persuasively to your ideal industrial customer because I've been one. And so this website is all about explaining why he's the best choice for anyone in that world. Industrial safety, industrial manufacturing. And the website itself, the content, serves as a writing sample in its own right. It's very friendly. It's clear. It shows that he's practicing what he's offering. He practiced what you preach. And one of my favorite is that his website answers, how did you find me? So I used to own a website called petcopywriter.com, which we'll talk about in a minute because someone else owns it now. But I used to get calls from people and they would say, well, we need some help with our pet website and, we need to do this and that. But does SEO really work? And I would say, well, how did you find me? Well, I typed in pet copywriter in Google and there you were. Ta-da, it worked.
There you go. You've got your proof right there.
So if you Google industrial copywriter or industrial manufacturing copywriter, Steve Maurer is going to be on page 1 of the Google results. It works. So, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Your website is just the very best place to consistently demonstrate your expertise and your authority and your capability. And all of those go to establishing your credibility. So if you're focused on content marketing, you should have a lot of content on your website. You should be working toward adding that on a regular basis. If you're doing email marketing, you should have an email list on your website because you're demonstrating every step of the way to your audience. Here's what I can do for you. You can see that I'm doing it for me and that it's working, and let me help you make it work for you too.
Awesome. Okay. It's your online base. So we mentioned, on LinkedIn, you would want to have a link to your website because clients expect that. But really, wherever you connect with anyone, whether it's on social media, whether it's through email, networking online or in person, if it's on a business card that you happen to hand to someone, anywhere you connect with somebody about your business, they're going to go to your website. That's the way it works. Yep. And if you don't have a website, I run into this. They only have a Facebook page or only have a LinkedIn profile. That's a little bit worrisome. You doubt, well, if they write websites, why don't they have a website? So again, I can't emphasize this enough that all roads lead to your website. I wanted to show you this fun website here, The Spirited Copywriter. Great beer deserves spirited marketing.
I like it.
I know, because, and then he writes, when your craft beer business needs passionate and spirited writing to lift your profits to new elevations, tap the talent. Oh, I love the puns. And expertise of the spirited copywriter. You can have fun with this, you guys. It's not meant to be a formal diatribe on why, it's awesome that he took this fun spirit on this. No pun intended, but
yeah.
That's the thing, write to who you're writing to. When I was writing to pet copywriter, I talked about the pet world and dogs and fun and, whatever niche you're in, there's a language that will resonate with your clients. But again, it all comes back to this base that you set up for them to get to know you.
Yeah. And it is, this kind of ties in with what we were saying at the beginning, that LinkedIn isn't your hub. You don't want everything to point to LinkedIn because you don't own that. Your website really is your hub. It's your online base. It's like the center of all your operations. So your website is kind of where you start everything, and then it goes out from there, and then it comes back in. So it's powerful stuff when you work it that way.
Yep, completely. Now, we said credibility, but authority is a little different. Credibility is just your background, why you're great for them. But authority is how you're demonstrating your knowledge on your website. So the content you're putting out there. You are a web writer. This person here who is in the education world is basically talking about her background on her content in her blog post. She's offering tips for the education marketer. She has video. She's got in the orange box there, content planning doesn't have to be stressful. Sign up for my newsletter and get your free content planner template. Now, doesn't that establish authority? Because she's offering a tool, a professional tool to help marketers. So these are the kinds of things you can put on your website that establish you as a trusted authority on what works. So that's a little different than credibility. Definitely.
And I kind of skipped ahead a little bit. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, building your authority, it's kind of an interesting thing that at least I've gone through, and I've talked to some writers that have gone through this too. As you learn more knowledge about your industry and about what you do, you have this kind of natural inclination to assume that everybody knows what you know. And that's really not the case. And so when you write about stuff, if you do video presentations about things, or you publish a report or an ebook, people see that. And a lot of them think, wow, I could never do that. I could never put together a video like that and talk so, coherently about that topic. And look at, the 6 points that they laid out in this blog post. That's really amazing. And so as you publish all that stuff, it really does impress your clients. Because remember, most of the time your clients don't actually know a lot about marketing or copy. They're coming to you because they need help with the marketing and the copy. And so the more you talk about it, write about it, and publish it on the site, the more you prove to them, wow, this person really knows what they're doing, and they can help me do what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the blog that I wrote on petcopywriter.com was the number one way clients found me, because what I would blog about is taking something that's news, like Google just changed blah, blah, blah. And I would write about that, but for the pet industry. So
Nice.
you can take anything that's going on, like how to write great headlines for the pet industry, how to make sure your emails are reaching your pet industry customers. And if you're writing posts like that that have the industry phrase in them, they're going to bring in traffic. And then they read the blog post and they're like, I'm a marketer. I am so busy every day with marketing schedules, budget, different vendors, bosses looking over my shoulder. I have to go give a report to the CEO. They're not thinking about how to write content or copy.
Yeah.
So when you can write amazing blog posts, picking up on anything that's a trend out there, like what's going on right now in the world of more people ordering online or working from home. You could say, you could take a study or a survey and turn that into a blog post about your niche and what that means and how copy or content can help with that. So yeah.
The brilliant tip right there. That's like worth the entire hour. I love that.
Thanks. All right, now it's professional. So it shows that you're a serious professional, not a fly-by-night moonlighter. Having only a Facebook page for your company kind of feels a little amateur or fly-by-night, honestly.
Yep.
If you have a website, Julia's is great. It's so clean and clear. Who does she write for? The tech world. And it says, lose the tech jargon and elevate your message with the help of a professional B2B technical copywriter. That's what she does. And look how clean and minimalist it is. It's not a lot of garbage or a big long story about how she got into the business. No, it's about the client, what she can offer. And it looks incredibly professional. I love her website. So anything to add there, Heather?
Well, first, I'm just going to say this is another example that I know firsthand that this website is working for Julia, because I just reached out to her to write an article for me, and she said, I can't do it in the time frame you're asking me for because I'm just too busy right now. So this stuff really, it really does work. And the reason that professionalism is important, all the reasons that Pam just said, that fly-by-night feeling, your clients there's a risk there when they reach out to you and bring you in to write copy, and they're going to pay you money and they're trusting you with their voice. And so you need that first impression to tell them, you're safe with me. It's going to be good.
Yep. And I love Julia's logo. The professionalism of this website, it just looks like you're going to work with a pro. And the client, they not only is it a risk to them as far as choosing a writer for their business, but they have to answer to a bunch of people usually. The head of the company, the executive committee. Why are we spending $20,000 on a whole sweeping content update, with this person? So, you need to show that you're worth that.
Yeah.
All right. It brings your portfolio to life. Now, you can give potential clients a link to see all you offer, and it doesn't have to be gobs and gobs of samples. Just a few samples. Let me tell you from experience in a million years in this, I don't know, 800 years. I go, do you have samples of work? Yes. Well, they might scan and maybe look at, like, this is Steve Mauer's website, and he's got a few samples here. I didn't look at the whole page, but even just seeing that you have samples gives them confidence. And they might click on one and check it out. They might not. Just the fact that you have some, and in another Inside AWAI session, we go over a whole hour on how to create samples if you're just starting out. So I highly recommend you check that out. If you're like, well, I don't have any samples, that session will help you create some pretty quickly. And of course, your website is a sample. But also, when you get on the phone with a potential client, you can do a screen share like we are today and say, oh, let me show you my work. And then, that gives them confidence again and trust in you, because you have it's like the proof behind your promise. So
And this is really just, it's another way that you demonstrate that credibility, that professionalism, that authority, that you help put your client's mind at ease. And like what Pam was saying, sometimes they're just like checking off the box. Do they have samples I can look at? Okay. That yes, they do. They've done this before. They have things that they can put out there. Sometimes they'll click on them and read through them. But as Pam mentioned, there's that Inside AWAI that will help you get those samples ready if you're new. So again, that doesn't have to be a barrier. There are a lot of ways that you can add samples to your website, and your website, your blog, all the things you do on your site also are a sample of your work.
Yeah, the blog is a great sample of your work. That was the lifeblood of my pet copywriter site. Mm-hmm. Okay, it helps you connect with referrals. Heather, your beautiful LinkedIn picture is here.
Yes, but I have the constellation of Nope up there. I need to get a cover image.
All right. The point of why I'm showing this here is because clients will want a next step. Okay, they've read Heather's profile. They see that she works in content marketing and user experience writing. But what's the next step? Well, the next step is typically contacting you. And so that contact info will open up, if you look on the right-hand image here, her LinkedIn profile, which is obviously where they are, but also websites. That's going to be the next place they go, hint, hint. Yep. And then email. And you might even put a phone number in there if you're open to that. But it instantly links that referral or potential client to your website. So yep. I actually have had companies I worked with say, how can I refer you? And I'll say, send them to my website. So it's so easy. And people need a place to send to see your stuff so that, they can back you up. You know what I mean? So
absolutely. And when it comes to referrals, giving out a website name, like you can find me at wealthywebwriter.com, is a lot easier than you can find me at linkedin.com/ and then it's like, what is my LinkedIn / do I know that off the top of my head? What did I put in there for that? Am I going to give it to them right? Are they going to remember it? It gets kind of lost in the noise. So your website is going to be a much easier recall for most people.
Right. All right, now here's my favorite little secret one. It could be a money-making opportunity as well. So when you're bringing in clients, that's fine, but that's only one benefit. You can also open a consistent revenue stream with your traffic. Examples may be that you sell retail products, or you publish ebooks, or you're selling product via affiliates. And right here, I noticed on this guy's website, if you go to resources, there's a drop down, and he's selling save 20% on SEMrush, which is an SEO keyword research and platform. And he gets a little money from that every time someone clicks on that. So you can also partner with web companies to go approach clients together, and design firms, the same thing. I've been brought in many times as a virtual partner with a web company when they land a client, but they don't have a writer on staff. So all of these things you can add to your site could be money-making web opportunities for you.
Mm-hmm. And so I want you guys to think about, how many projects, how many clients can you really take on at a time? So when I teach content marketing with Brian Clark, one of the questions that we always get is, how much do we give away on the site? Like, shouldn't we be preserving our writing secrets? We don't want to teach people how to write. And there's so much, as Pam was mentioning, there's so much you can talk about without talking about how to write. So you don't have to go there, but you can go there without fear, because really, in my experience, and everybody's a little bit different, but the sweet spot of projects at a time is somewhere between 3 and 5. And so if you've got 3 to 5 clients coming to you consistently with needs, you're booked up. You're not really bringing on anybody new. And so you have an opportunity on your website. So for example, I'm in the very slow process of launching a UX copywriting website. And so I recognize, I can take on a certain number of projects at a time and do my best work. But there are going to be a certain number of people that are coming to my site that are interested in UX copywriting from more of a do-it-yourself point of view. And so I can create any number of products to help them who may not want to hire me anyway, or who may not be able to hire me because I'm busy, to help them achieve similar goals on their own since they can't, for whatever reason, hire me. So you have a ton of opportunities here, and Pam's going to share one of hers, I think, right now.
Yeah, you just reminded me. When I was techcopywriter.com, I co-wrote a book with a web developer, and it's called Wildly Profitable Marketing for the Pet Industry.
Yep.
So it wasn't a New York Times bestseller, but for small businesses in the pet industry who couldn't really afford me, or you know, I was working on bigger projects and I couldn't take time to work with them, I would say just get my book for $19 and you can walk through it and do it yourself. So perfect. I totally forgot about that till now. Anyway, that was fun. Okay, now that we've shown you all the reasons that you should have a website, we want to go through 5 steps on how to actually create your website that will attract and delight clients as they're eagerly looking. Now, one thing I want to mention really upfront is that when clients are looking online for a writer, it's very common now that they're looking for someone in their industry. So that's kind of a decision you have to make at some point. Who are the clients you want to attract? It doesn't have to be in one industry. It's really helpful if it is, because then your website can speak to marketers in that world with language that shows you get that world. But, you know, a lot of other writers are doing just fine not focusing on an industry, but they are focusing on certain types of clients. Like I know a couple of writers who work for agencies. They want to work with agencies. They want to be the go-to. So they talk to agency creative directors on their website. So this example here, I work in the pet and veterinary industry. I still have a few clients on the side, so I'm staying in the game. But VMX is the biggest conference every year for the veterinary industry, and they put it out an exhibitor list of 800 exhibitors, companies, clients for you. So a lot of association conference websites will have an exhibitor list. And that is an amazing gold mine to find potential clients in a certain industry. But again, I don't want you to limit to a niche if you don't want to, but it sure is an easy way to go because it's so focused. It's like a slam dunk. But, you know, you want to think about companies of certain types. Do I want to work with teeny tiny startups? They may not have a lot of money, but I can help them a lot and I'll grow in the process. Or do I want to work with mid-level companies that have decent budgets? B2B companies tend to have annual budgets and they're pretty healthy for content because they know how important it is. And then do you want to work with companies that are totally fine with you being a remote freelance resource? You may even want to eventually have a staff position with them. That's totally up to you, but it's a lot easier to put content on your website if you know who you're talking to.
Yeah, not only is it easier to put content on your website, it's also easier to, like, if you're doing other types of marketing, so if you're connecting with people on social media, if you're sending out warm emails, it's a lot easier to find the companies and to research them if you have somewhere to start. So if you just start out with, I want clients, I mean, there's billions of sites on the internet. It's a lot to sift through. But if you pause and think, okay, you know, I think I want to work with local businesses that employ, you know, like 50 people. Well, suddenly, you know, you've got some search terms that can really help you zero in on the companies that you want to market to. And so you do have a lot of options in how you niche yourself, how you approach that whole process. But at some point, even if you didn't make your website focused on the niche specifically. And it does make it easier for clients to find you if you do. I want to emphasize that. But even if you decided not to, still thinking, you know, I think I'd really like to work with companies in, you know, like the pet industry and then, you know, the gardening industry, at least gives you somewhere to start your research. And then if you reach out to them, you can identify, you know, hey, I work with clients in the gardening industry. I help them create really beautiful content for their websites. And you can visit me here on my site. And then if your site is focused on content marketing, there's still continuity there, even if it's not garden specific. But there's so many advantages to getting that focus. It saves you time. It helps you focus your message. It helps clients to find you. The other advantage long-term is you really get to know that industry. And so you're able to produce very high quality content in less time. And that gives you a little nice boost in your hourly fee. Not that you're charging an hourly fee, but if it takes you half the time to finish a project and you're just charging the same fee for the project, then you're making double the money per hour. So there's so many advantages to this.
I'm really glad you mentioned the local thing, because we don't talk about that enough. Depending on where you live and where you're located, there might be enough clients to work with right in your area. So yep. I remember helping a writer once who just was really struggling with a niche. So she lived in Seattle. So we searched the phrase Seattle copywriter, and there were all kinds of people looking for a writer in that market. Now, that's a big city. But that doesn't necessarily mean you couldn't look in a region where you are and find opportunity with local businesses. I drive around here, and there are all kinds of manufacturing companies of all sorts that are really interesting. I could decide I want to be the writer for this area and go and approach those companies. So
absolutely.
Yeah, you do have options, but it's really helpful to identify who you're trying to attract with your website as a starting point. Okay, and then identify what you offer them. So ideally, you would offer some specific writing skills. Are you a B2B copywriter? Are you a web specialist? Are you someone who does case studies, white papers only? Are you someone who is a blogger? That's something. Do you offer social media management for clients? That's something you want to figure out now and grow, as you wish. You never know what a client will want from you. I often found that a client would come to me for blog post help, but really their core website was a mess. So I'd end up starting writing blog posts for them, but then helping them as they updated their website. So what is it that you want to offer? And then what is the reason they hire you? So what do you offer that's really unique to their needs? If it's a niche, that's an easy choice. If you've worked in that industry, you have connections in the industry, you write for the journal in that industry, or you've gone to their conferences, that's really a real win for the client, because you get us, we get you. And so I encourage you, I put this little chart here, is to write down as you're thinking about what to put on your website about why hire me. What are the things that you offer, service-wise and background-wise. And even if you're new at something, like, for example, I've had people say to me, well, I worked in insurance for 20 years, but I don't want to be an insurance copywriter. I want to be a gardening copywriter because I love gardening. I watch all the HGTV shows. I'm an avid gardener myself. I go to the nursery every weekend. You are qualified. You don't have to have professional experience in the gardening industry. You are the audience. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really valuable point, that when you're part of the audience, that gives you some very valuable insights that can be actually a little bit elusive to your clients. So you bring a lot of value when you're in that position.
Yeah, and so hobbies, volunteering, if you write for the local chamber newsletter, you're really interested in the local businesses, or you are in an association that you love, could be anything. Certifications in IT that you've earned over the years. I know Les Worley was in IT for years, and now he writes for the tech industry. Perfect segue, perfect background. He gets the language and the jargon, and clients really value that, let me tell you.
Yeah. So, yes, they do.
Okay, make it professional. We showed you already a bunch of professional websites with a professional logo, a business name. It can be your name, but you definitely need to have some, either in the logo or a tagline, some indication of who you serve. So this is the petcopywriter.com website that I no longer own. Dr. Tammy Powell does, but she kept the website design as it was when she took it over, and it's very professional looking. So it has, a logo, it has a tagline, web SEO content and consulting for pet industry marketers, very clear. And the website theme is modern. It shows up well on mobile sites. It's very clean. It's not a lot of text, big, thick, blocks of text people have to read through. It's very short and simple. And then the host, I just want to mention, you want to sign up for a reliable host like Bluehost or GoDaddy or somebody that will have your back when your website's up there, because you don't want it to be down. So, yeah.
Very important. I'm going to channel Nick Osborne for a minute. So you guys are entering into a career where you can very achievably earn six figures. And we're talking about the type of income that a lot of doctors make, not surgeons, but family physicians make. We're talking about the type of income that a lot of lawyers make. We're talking about the type of income that a lot of professionals make. And these people spend tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars to be able to put themselves in the position to earn an income that you are putting yourself in the position to earn, spending a fraction, like a teeny tiny fraction of that amount to study and to learn your craft. And so take some of that, tens of thousands of dollars of savings on education that you are enjoying, and make sure that your website just looks good.
Yeah,
I mean, it doesn't have to be expensive. I'm not saying that you have to spend tens of thousands of dollars, but I'm saying don't be afraid to invest some.
Invest in yourself. If you are going to start any business today, any kind of business, dog walking, manicure, set up a CPA, you have to invest in the business setup a little bit. Yes. So you are putting your shingle out there as a professional.
Yes.
So, okay. Then you want to map out and write the content. And in a minute, I'm going to share an article with you that spells all this out. But it doesn't have to be a ton of content. It shouldn't be a barrier. Basically, your homepage is your 8-second impression. Instantly, what is it you offer and to who? One point I want to make that I see a lot of copywriters as a mistake is that they write an about page that's all about the copywriter and his or her background. I always wanted to write. I started writing as a child in the barn. I write, I mean me, I mean me. Oh, no. Clients do not care about that. Eddie Stevens here on the Dental Copywriter site has the right approach, the correct approach. About me, his About Me page is about why you would work with him, what he brings to you, the dental industry professional. If you're a dental industry marketer or business owner looking for dental marketing strategies that improve your marketing content and boost your marketing results, count on my track record of compelling ideas and copy focused on marketing to the dental industry. He talks about his background, why it's relevant, what it means to the client, not your life story, but what it means to the client. I can't emphasize that enough. It has to always be what's in it for the client. Just like any sales copy you'd write for a client, you're writing to the prospect and what it's in it for them. So that's what you have to do on your about page. Services, and I'm going to have you jump in, Heather, in a second, but I just want to go through this real quick. Services, you can start out with just a couple and build over time as you choose to, and as clients request things that I haven't written a case study. I'm going to go learn how to do that, and then offer that as a new service. On samples, like we said, you want to have it on obviously your website as a sample, but that other Inside AWAI session that's free talks about how to create samples for your site. And then your contact page shouldn't just be a blank form. You want to give people every way to contact you under the sun because you want them to contact you, right? And then a bonus would be to put testimonials throughout your site as you, or their own page, like you might have a testimonial page. As you grow and as you get more testimonials under your belt, put them all over your site for credibility. Okay, Heather, jump on in.
Jump on it. So I really want to emphasize, I suffer from something that I have coined the term for kitchen sink syndrome. So when I'm doing something like building a website, I start out with the list that Pam has here, and then I'll be like, oh, but I also need a blog, and I need to make sure that I have my email newsletter sign up, and I probably should have an FAQ page, and maybe I should install a shopping cart because I'm probably going to want to sell some reports, and I just keep adding because it's so much fun, all the things that you can do. So if you suffer from kitchen sink syndrome, as I do, you're not alone, but try to put a check on that and start. You want to start any endeavor You want to think about what is the bare minimum that I need to do to put this out. And that's what Pam has here on this list. So your first phase are these 5 pages and nothing more. You can add more as you need to, but that's in phase 2. So start with phase 1 and get that done before you start adding additional things. That's how you have to counter that kitchen sink syndrome if you suffer from that with me.
Well, and the kitchen sink syndrome means you'll never be ready to launch because you'll keep adding more things, and we want you to launch or update now. So just focus on the core pages that clients would likely go to immediately, which are these pages. And then add on as you can. Like I said, a blog is a great add-on because it brings in traffic, but it takes time. So don't worry about it for a second. Okay. And then finally, I want to talk a bit about the geeky world of search keywords. This is the most simplistic lesson on keywords you'll ever see, but it matters. So to accelerate the chance of clients finding you, whatever you're offering, if you're a copywriter, content writer, case study writer, blogger, whatever that phrase is, you want to use that in your content. Plus, whatever niche you're trying to attract. So I have an example here, the automotive copywriter. The automotive copywriter. The automotive industry is booming, da-da-da-da, let's go. And his logo is the automotive copywriter. So let me guess, what is this guy? Is he an automotive copywriter? Yes. So, I mean, it's obvious. And guess how I found him? I searched on Google the automotive copywriter or copywriter in the automotive industry. Another example might be something you have on your site. If you're a travel writer specializing in web content, copy and content for the travel industry, it's only like 9 words. But Google, if you put those 9 words on your website and sprinkle that phrase throughout, clients will recognize that you're the person for them. Google will recognize what your website is about. So if a client goes on to Google and searches automotive copywriter, bada boom, bada bing, this simple website is showing up. Beautiful. That's what you want. So take whatever you're offering or who you are as a writer, add that niche industry, or if it's local, if you're the Seattle copywriter, get that into your content. It's really, really important and helpful.
Yep. I don't have anything to add to that. You covered that.
Okay. That's like the most basic SEO lesson in the plan. All right, and then the 5th step is to test and launch. So, you know, I have a hard time tooting my own horn on my website. I'm really struggling with it. I can write anybody else's copy till the cows come home, but when I'm talking about myself, it's awkward. So I suggest that you buddy up with another writer, and maybe you do a second opinion on each other's website. And you know, it can be hard to know if you sound friendly and approachable and all about the client. So if you know someone in that industry you're trying to reach, for example, or even somebody who runs a business in your town, just ask them, you know, is this clear? Is it clear what I offer? Does it sound like I can help that person? And they may go, you know, it's actually too long about your growing up in the barn or whatever. You don't want to cut that. You know, and you'll get a good, fresh second opinion, which I think is valuable. And then have someone proofread it because we are our own worst proofreaders. I know that for a fact. I can't proof my own stuff. And then just do a final link check and make sure all the materials are in good shape and downloadable if it's a PDF and all that stuff. And then go, pick a date and go. Don't get into analysis paralysis. Just go and then tweak as you can.
Yeah. We sometimes have this impression online that like everybody's looking at our website and that if we make a mistake that it's going to like ripple out through the entire internet and everybody's going to be like, oh, did you see the mistake that Heather made? And oh, we can never work with her. That doesn't happen. Like the internet is like tailor-made for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 18th chances. So put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. It's not the end of the world. And then like Pam said, you know, refine, update, and just keep building on what you have launched, but getting it launched.
I challenge you guys watching today to pick a date like November 1st or whatever, January 1st. And make that your goal date and do this because there's nothing better than going live. You can always make tweaks. You can always add on, but you just want to get out there and start proving your worth and attracting clients. So
yeah.
that's my challenge.
And one of the things I want to add on really quickly with your website is the sooner you get it out there, the sooner you will start building traffic. But don't put it up and think, hey, I'm going to have 10,000 visitors on the first day. That's not usually, that's not usually how this works. So it is a labor of love, and it is something that builds over time. And I did an interview with John Morrow recently about blogging specifically. And one of the things that he said was, your blog typically, it gets like this little sprinkle of visitors for the first 6 to 12 months. And then like the switch just flips and suddenly you start getting 1,000 and 2,000. And so that tipping point is out there, but it's out there from your launch date. So you gotta get launched.
Yeah, get launched this year if you can. Okay. So remember, I can't stress this enough. It's all about the client. Everything on your website should be all about the client. I wanted to show you, I just searched last week for, on a job board, I think it was Indeed.com, and I typed in the word copywriter. And here's a perfect example of what a company's looking for. A wellness company seeks a detail-oriented copywriter, but must be passionate about health and wellness. So if your website, now this is for a full-time job, but it could be, a freelance job. If you're a health and wellness copywriter, it better say that on your website, because you'd be a perfect match for this company, but they won't know it unless you tell them. So always focus on what the customer or the client is looking for, and that your website positions you as the best solution for them, and make it easy to work with you. Any other comments?
Make it easy to work with you. That's another one that's worth the hour by itself. I'm gonna give you a quick tangential tip on job posts like these. So it's a full-time job post. Sometimes as you read through this kind of full-time job post, it will say one of the responsibilities, if you land this job, is to help manage freelance writer contributions. When you see that, add that company to your list of potential contacts and reach out to them and say, it came to my attention that you work with freelance writers from time to time, and I just happen to know your industry super well, so I wanted to introduce myself, see where things go.
Wonderful. I love that. All right, don't overthink it. Now, I'm guilty of overthinking everything in my life, and sometimes that just stalls. It just stalls the whole thing. So honestly, like we're trying to hammer home, just do it. Like Nike, just do it. You just get that for the first 5 pages of your site ready, launch, start with what you can, and then it brings you closer to your goals. You can get going. Just another lovely example of a professional looking website. It's super simple. It just looks nice, and you instantly meet this person and know, oh yeah, she looks like a great person to work with, right? Just do it.
Yep. Then, I want to emphasize what you said about just do it. I know we're trying to leave time for Q&A, so I'll rein in a little bit. But all these writers that we've been looking at, Julia Bergini and Liz Farr and Steve Maurer, they all consistently took action. So get into that mindset. I'm going to take consistent action.
Yep, they're all live online because they took action. And then look at the samples we've shown you. I know we've been whipping through this, but you can go back and watch the replay and go visit those websites and take a look. Make your site your own, of course, but the basic approach is what we're talking about here, because it'll help you avoid blank page syndrome. You won't be sitting there like, what do I write about? Go look at those websites. You'll get inspired. Oh, okay, so they're right here. We have Diane, the go-to copywriter for insurance branding. You could say something similar for whatever niche you're going to be working in. I wouldn't use the exact words from anyone. Never do that. But
never do that.
Never do that, because we'll find out. but get inspired from them, and then follow the best practices we're showing you here. Make it 100% in your voice, like the beer copywriter back there. I love that. And, put your best self forward with confidence. Nick Usborne always says, his online persona is nothing like his real persona. He's actually pretty quiet, and he is a farmer, and, he likes to read, and he's kind of a geek and blah, blah, blah. But online, he is the king of online marketing and copywriting. He is a go-getter, and he's very open about that. The clients he works with see him as an authority and someone, experienced and dynamic, while at home he's kind of quiet and reserved. So it's kind of interesting. Just put your best professional self out there.
Good advice.
All right. Finally, you can do this. Drum roll. You can do this. I want you to do this. Promise me you'll pick a date and do this, okay? Now, we have some resources for you to learn more. And these are some great articles and let me just go through real quick. So there's an article called The Anatomy of a Well-Niched Website, which I think was published in June on Wealthy Web Writer, but you can access it on AWAI. Plan out your freelance website content in under an hour. That's one of my favorites. It's a couple of years old, but it's so relevant still because it's focused on the basics. So check that out. I wrote the next one, take a selfie of your freelance website to attract web copywriting clients. You know, if you look at it again from that instant impact or a selfie approach, what is it saying to the client? Is it really what you want to be saying? If you already have a website, you know, are there things you can tweak now, today, to make it more current and even better than it is? Then a freelance website leads to more paying clients is another great article. And you can go onto awai.com and search for any of these, and they'll pop up if you put these words in. And then wealthywebwriter.com, which I can let Heather talk about, has tons of resources for you on this very topic.
Wealthy Web Writer is just a great online resource for anybody who is interested in doing freelance web writing. We pretty much cover all the topics of interest to freelance web writers, and we have evergreen information, we have cutting edge, timely information. We have been live since since November 2009, and we add content almost every day. So you can imagine how vast our resource library is. And a lot of it is free to access. So, come over there, check us out, poke around. You'll find all sorts of good stuff that can help you with your web writing business.
Yay. It's a beautiful thing. So finally, there is a program that we offer. If you want to really dive in and do this, it's the easiest way to launch your website. Basically, we walk you through step by step in 4 days. 4 days of presentations and exercises and homework, and then you're done. 4 days. So I wanted to mention this today. Rebecca Matter from AWAI and Jim Wright, who's our web expert out there, will help you. They'll show you exactly what to do. This is the link to that program, Inside/BFW. If you want to check it out, totally up to you, but I wanted to mention it because we've seen a lot of members launch their websites through this 4-day class. It really helps accelerate everything and pick up on what we've been talking about today so you can get going. So with that, I'm going to, take a picture of this link, or we can put the link in Facebook, but that's where you want to go check it out. But I do want to now open the floor for questions. I'm going to stop sharing the slides. And now Jay's going to see the questions that we do.
Hi. So they have been coming in fast and furious. Everyone is loving the content. The best part was, as some of the questions were getting asked, you were answering them in the slides. So that's always beautiful.
Our plan worked.
Yes. So if I skip your question, that is why. So a good one to start with. I'm determining my niche and already finding that I'm having plans to transition. Should my website represent me or a niche?
Yes.
I was going to say, you really want to balance there.
Yeah.
People more and more want to do business with people, not companies. Like, they don't mind that you're part of a company, but they want to feel that human connection. So you really do want to be yourself representing your niche.
Yeah. I mean, as pet copywriter, all the examples we showed you, the writer is the niche. The writer is a representative of what they can offer that niche. So I think they go hand in hand. I'm not sure how you would even separate them, really.
Yeah.
Okay, a lot of people were asking about the replay. Just to let you all know that the replay will be on Facebook straight away. We also do have Inside AWAI archives on our awai.com site. If you're wanting things like the slides as well as the replay, that's where you'll find the slides that go along with this. And then James had a really long question, so if I put it up, it's going to cut you all off. But basically, he said that previously, a long time ago, he had written articles for a company. Now Number one, is it good to post those as even though they're old? And number two, what permissions does he need in order to post those from a company?
Heather, you want to start on that one?
Sure. It doesn't matter if they're old. If they are samples that are that represent your capability well, then those are good samples. Now, typically, what I recommend you do, and since these are older, this information is for going forward from this point, is when you do work for a client, up front, ask if it's okay if you share those to your site. And if they say no, follow up and say, would it be okay in individual instances if I share these through email with a client, with a prospect to demonstrate my work? Most everybody will say yes to one or the other of those things. Even when it's proprietary, a lot of times they'll say yes to one or the other of those things.
And if you have a relationship with, I was going to say, with the person you wrote those articles for in the past, you could ask them as a courtesy, I'd like to put these on my website. Do you have any problem with that? And typically they don't, unless it's something really proprietary. But if it's an article that's on their own site, it's out there anyway for the world. So
so at this point, if you want to post them to your site as a courtesy, you should reach out to the client and say, would it be okay if I posted these to my site? They might say yes, go for it. They might say, I'd be more comfortable with you doing that as a PDF download, so it's not competing with our keywords. Or they might say, could you write an excerpt and then link to our article to show the sample? So there are some different ways that they may ask you to do that, but it would be in your best interest to reach out and ask for that permission.
Okay, there were a lot of questions about host sites, where you host your website. So I'm going to just show us this one. Starting out my website, I have a domain with GoDaddy. Should I stay with them or go to Bluehost if I'm not a techie? Which one is better for someone like me? And I would say for all people starting out, do you have a better one that they should start out with?
I'm going to defer to you on this one, Pam.
Oh, man. Okay, so I'm not really... I actually have a web person who helps me. We use DreamHost. So that's for my my side business website. And I'm not very technical, so I have someone help me. And, that's a possibility. You can partner up with a web person, web developer.
That's why I deferred to Pam. I'm married to a web designer, so I don't deal with any of that.
I don't deal with any of that either because I'm not good at it. And so for me, it's worth. So my person is Neil up in Maine, and it's worth me paying Neil $60 an hour to help me get my website launched on the technical part and set up the hosting and set that up because I could spend hours and still not do it right. It's not my skill set.
Not only that, how much would you want to throw your computer out a window by the time you were done with those hours trying to get it set up? I would be just like, my blood pressure would be probably just not good. So if it's not something you like, that $60 an hour is a smart move. If it's not something you're worried about, my recommendation when it comes to choosing a host is to just do some research, check and see what different kinds of packages they have available. PC Magazine every year does top 10 reviews of this kind of stuff. So you can do a search for PC Magazine top 10 website hosts and get their list of the top 10 for 2020. You can compare pricing, you compare responsiveness, you can compare packages, all that stuff, and then find the one that fits best for you. Definitely look at some of the consumer reviews and make sure that they're responsive. That's a key. Yep.
What she said.
Okay. So Trish also had the same question, but then a little bit of something more. She currently has a website for her artwork. Should she add copywriting onto this, or should her copywriting website be a completely new addition?
The question I would return would be, is your artwork something that you do for the same type of clients that you would do copywriting for? It really comes down to who you're speaking to. You want each of your websites to speak to an audience. And so if your artwork is for different people than your copywriting is for, you would want those to be separate. If you are marketing both of those things to the same audience, then it would make sense to have them be together.
Okay. Pam, is there any, this one was directed to you, but obviously either can answer. Is there a way to find out if a domain name is taken?
Sure. Well, for me, I just go to GoDaddy and type it in. And if it's available, it'll say it's available, $14.99, go for it. If it's not available, instantly. I don't know if it's another approach. Is that what you do, Heather? Or Yeah.
Exactly the same, right down to GoDaddy.
Okay, so Facebook user, you can check there for dental copy guide. James had a question. You clarified his one about what the about page is, but do they need a sitemap on the website?
It's funny. I've heard that it is critical and important to have a sitemap to give Google a clue of what's on your site. So I would say yes. Have I ever done that? No. I'm not perfect. But it does help Google if you have a sitemap. So yes, I don't always practice what I preach, but that is the best practice to do that.
Yeah. But remember, don't let it become a barrier. Like if that's the thing that's keeping you from launching, launch and then add the sitemap later.
Right.
Okay. So Jessica Lynn loved your kitchen sink syndrome, Heather. She said she has it too. She suffers from it.
Suffer. Yeah.
Raise your hands, everybody. Okay. And then E.G. had a question. How often do you recommend posting your blog? And then I'm going to do a second part to this because another person had a blog question. Is it better to post it on something like Medium or your own site?
Ooh,
well, yeah, that's a good question. So when I was blogging, I tried to do 2 a month. And that was plenty because how many clients can I attract? I don't want 50 million clients. It's not like I'm building a money-making website where I want gobs and gobs of traffic every month. So doing just 2 a month was perfectly fine as long as I optimized it for that niche. So I would say something like how to write magnetic emails for the pet industry, something like that. And then when someone online, a client is like, I need an email copywriter for the pet industry, ta-da, they would find me. I probably got maybe half a dozen inquiries a month from my blog, and I didn't need more than that. Again, as a writer, you only have so much capacity. You only need a handful of clients. So that was just fine for me. I don't know if you have, like the Medium approach and all that, I think is when you're setting up a blog where you want tons of traffic. So I don't really speak to that, but Heather, maybe you can.
So Medium and LinkedIn can both be useful to get more traction from your blog. So what I actually recommend that you do is that you post your blog to your site first, and then a week or 2 later, you share it out to Medium and to LinkedIn with a link back to the original post on your site. The benefit of doing that, and if you're in a situation like Pam just described, where just having it on your site is bringing in enough leads to keep you busy, that's a step you don't need to do. But if you're in the position where you're looking for more leads, or if you're looking to monetize your site in some capacities like we talked about earlier, and that more traffic is going to benefit you, what that does is it gets you in front of audiences who might not find you through search and help them come back to your site as well. It also helps to build your authority over time too.
Yep.
Okay. So I just want to remind everybody that Melissa did post in this Q&A the how to create samples or how to create a portfolio if you don't have a client. But on that tone, Monica is asking, how many samples should your website have?
Let me go ahead.
What's that?
Go ahead.
So for me, honestly, you don't need more than 3. Most people won't look at more than 3. You can add as many as you want. What I like to do, and again, this is I don't really practice what I preach thing, but in an ideal world, if I were doing this perfectly the way that I think it should be done on my site, I would have 2 or 3 samples for each type of writing that I specialize in. So if I'm doing content marketing strategy, I would have 2 or 3 samples to demonstrate that. If I'm doing email newsletters, I would have 2 or 3 samples to demonstrate that. But there's not a hard, fast, fixed number that you need to worry about. I would say more than 1.
Yeah. And don't over time. Don't worry about it right this minute. Yeah. If you want to start out blogging for clients or doing social media for them or writing web pages for them, 1 or 2 samples of that is plenty to start with. And if you're not even there yet, go again to that free Inside AWI. We have ideas for you there.
Yeah. And you'll find a lot of clients, all these questions that we think that they're going to ask, never ask them. Like sometimes we think they're going to ask, who have you worked for? What kind of results have you delivered for them? What's your educational background? What kind of writing samples do you have? And depending on how they're finding you and how they're coming to you and what their state of I need this done is, I have a lot of clients that are just like, great, let's get started. And that's pretty much just a, hey, I'm Heather, and this is the kind of writing that I do. They're like, sounds good. Send me a proposal.
Yep. That happens a lot.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you said that, Heather, because we just had a webinar last Friday when it was a client on the webinar, and they said, we never look at samples.
Yeah.
That's good.
So I just wanted to give a shout out to Tina. She said that she's been fixating all week and she is now determined to launch next Monday. So go, Tina. And then Wanda said, thanks, or no pressure. Breathe in, breathe out. I can do this. So
you can
yes,
do this.
You can. I might be butchering this name, but Marjan, with so many resources available for free, what is your number one advice to getting into niche copywriting? Marjan, I'm not sure if you're asking to choose a niche or to get into copywriting, so I don't know if we want to give an answer for each.
Well, if you're
possibility.
Struggling with choosing a niche, we have an Inside AWAI session that's free called the number one easiest way to choose your niche. And it's based on the idea of go for what you know. Mm-hmm. Go for what your background is or your passion is. Like if your background is in customer service for corporations, you could be the customer service copywriter for software companies that offer that and other types of firms. If you would rather write about a hobby, like we said, gardening, and you do gardening, that's your life, go for it because you know the language and you know all the world of that. So it's so much easier and much less of a struggle if you just start with what you know. And then you can always change later if you want to.
Yeah. I was going to say, you're not getting married. And everything, some people worry, well, what if I'm doing all this content for this niche and then I decide to change and that's all wasted. It's really not, because you're learning so much and you're going to be able to do it so much faster the second time around based on what you've already done.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a bit of like a technical-ish question from Bruce. I think you guys know this though. He's asking what the difference between theme and about page is on a website.
Okay.
A theme is basically the look and feel of your whole site. So on WordPress, there are hundreds and hundreds of themes, including some that are mobile responsive and some that aren't, some that are more geared to retailers and e-commerce, some that are more geared to photographers and artists, some that are more geared to what we do. That's the theme. That's going to be the framework for everything, your header, how copy is flowing, what's on the right column, all that stuff. That's the theme. The about page is where you show the client why you're awesome for them. So very different, actually.
Yeah, very different.
Okay, so this is a question from Carmen, and I'm sure she's not the only one that has this type of question. This is about like client outreach. You mentioned reaching out to businesses if you're starting out to offer your services. Do you have something that you guys both say when you're approaching a business or when you're sending that email that they could possibly use when they're doing their reach out?
There are a lot of different ways to approach this. So the number one thing to remember about how you do client outreach is to pick the method that you think, I'll probably do this consistently. Like if you hate cold calling, and I'm going to say probably 97% of you, if not more, do, that's probably not something that you're going to want to do every day. So my favorite way, and it's not easy right now to meet potential clients, is actually to attend live events and to talk to people in person. It just works faster. It works better. We get off onto a better foot. I'm usually more excited about the work. Current situation, there's not a lot of live events happening right now, which is kind of a bummer. My second favorite way to reach out to clients is actually a method I use that involves timing. So I watch news stories in the industries that I like to write for, and if I see that somebody's about to launch a project or a product, if they just opened a new plant, if they just partnered with a new company, I will reach out to them, and my email basically says, hey, I was reading in, the Harvard Business Review that you just launched a whole new program on this kind of marketing, and I am super excited about that, and I bet you are too. I'm also a copywriter. I know everything that goes into a launch, and I know you're probably so busy you feel like your hair is on fire. Would you like a little help? And it gets a good response. Sometimes a very fast response.
So I'm smiling because, believe it or not, we have some free Inside AWAI sessions on that really topic. If you go to that page, it's just go to awai.com, type in Inside AWAI. You'll come to the main page where there's, I don't know, 50 different topics.
Big
and
list.
a whole bunch of them on what to say to clients, how to get your foot in the door with clients, what clients need, how to have a client conversation with confidence. To me, the easiest thing to say is, like if somebody runs a website or a business and this happened a lot. I'd be like in a new coffee shop in town and I would say to them, how's your website working for you? And usually that answer will open up a flood. It's almost you become their therapist because they'll say, oh, it's terrible. It's old. I'm not getting any traffic. Oh, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, that's interesting because I actually make websites work better. And they're like, give me your card right now. So it's almost about asking them questions about how happy they are with their current marketing. Because then you've opened the door for you to put your foot in and say, well, gosh, I can help you with that. Instead of feeling like you have to pitch yourself. It's easier if you just talk to someone. Michael Katz, who does one of our wonderful programs on launching your business, he says, you already know probably 50 people in your life or more that you've either worked with in your career or run a business in town, or even maybe a cousin runs a business. Talk to them first because they already know you. And you could say, hey, I've just become a copywriter. And they'll be like, what the heck is that? I help make more people come to your website. I make more people buy from your website. I help people open your emails, and they'll be like, oh my gosh, I need that. So, and you'll say why, and then listen. And they'll tell you their life story about how their marketing isn't working so well. And then you're like, well, let me help you with that. So it's almost just starting a regular, natural conversation with someone.
Yeah, and that's so powerful. And I was mentioning live events, and that's why I like live events, because you're just there, and if they're in the niche that the event is hosting most likely, and so you just get into conversations with people. And sometimes I know Pam and I have both had this happen, where we're in a conversation with somebody, we have no idea that we're actually in a client conversation, and then as things begin to unfold, we're like, oh, I might be about to land a new project here. And then sure enough, I had that happen. My favorite story with that, I landed a client that I worked with for 6 years. It was a great client. And I didn't even know when I went up to say hi that they had any interest in a writer. I was just at an event and wanted to have a conversation with someone. So those conversations are super powerful.
The other thing too now is, Michael actually talks about reaching out to people on LinkedIn. And contacting them, and just especially people already. Like if you worked at a company, you have colleagues that you worked with. Reach out to somebody. And just say, hey, Jim, we haven't talked in a while. I just want to let you know I'm launching this new business as a writer for websites and marketing. Do you know anybody who might need that help? And either Jim will go, I do, my company does, or they might go, yeah, actually, one of my friends just launched a new business and they need someone. It's that it's that natural a conversation. You're not selling or pushing yourself on them. You're just saying, hey, this is what I'm doing now. Know anybody who needs it? That'd be awesome. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah, absolutely. One of Michael's other tips is to just reach out, like you were saying, Pam, and to just say, hey, we haven't talked in a while. I was thinking about you. What's going on? Do you have anything exciting happening? And just that. And then sometimes they'll just come back and say, there's not much happening. But a lot of times, just the nature of human conversation, they'll tell you about what they're doing. And then they'll say, and what are you up to? Yeah. And then you can say, I'm doing this.
I'm doing this. And here's my awesome new website. I'd love to look at it.
Exactly.
Yeah, get up to that website. Okay, so Jade fell off the internet, but Fran is with us. She's shepherding the questions down.
Hey, Pam. Hey, Heather. Hey, everyone. I've got the next question for you guys here now. James is wondering, Heather, should you have a monetized landing page?
James, that depends on your goals. So if I, as I talked about, had a product that I was selling on my site that would help businesses that either couldn't afford my services or who just couldn't get on my calendar because I was too busy. If I had a program like that or a product like that, then absolutely, I should probably have a landing page that I use some level of paid pay-per-click marketing to drive traffic to in order to learn about that potential product. But that's not actually absolutely necessary if you don't want to get into that. That's me. That's my kitchen sink syndrome kicking in. I can just have a page on the site that says, don't have the budget, for my packages, check this out instead and learn how to do what I do for your business. So you don't have to, it's not required. There can be some benefits to it. And if you like to play around with that, and if that is a service that you would like to offer your clients, I recommend that you play around with it. So definitely an option, not a requirement.
Wonderful. Thank you. The next question we have is from Skip. Skip is wondering, should I post my price ranges for my product service, or is that more negotiable with a potential client?
Oh, I want to answer that one.
Go, Pam.
Okay. So you don't want to become a commodity. So you don't want the client to choose you based on price first and foremost. Like if they see your prices, they'll be like, oh, blogging 275 a blog post. Well, I can get someone else for 250. That's a dangerous path because you want to prove your value to them first. And then at the proposal phase, they don't even blink because you've already shown them that you're awesome. You know the industry. There'll be a short learning curve. You can get started tomorrow. They'll be like, when do we start? Let's go. And then you send them your rates and they're fine with it. Or if they aren't, that's okay. But you don't want to lead with that. I wouldn't lead with that.
And I think that's generally the best practice. I do know some people that get further into this and they have a full plate of clients and they start using their prices to filter. And so at that point, they may start listing their ranges just because they don't want anybody who's not willing. They don't even want to get into the conversation and spend time on that with anybody who's not willing to pay their rates. But that's a very specific, strategic, and deliberate decision that writers make when they are in a certain position with the clients that they already have.
Good point.
Alrighty, here's our next question for you guys. Isn't it awkward to say that you can help them and then charge them?
No, because they're doing that to their customers too, right? They have a solution for their customers and it costs ta-da, right? Mm-hmm. So no, I don't think it's awkward at all. I think it's we can help you with professional services and they would expect to pay for that. Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Pam. You can finish.
All right. No, I'm done.
Okay. Generally speaking, you are having a conversation with them, and they don't expect that you are doing this for free. And if it comes to light when you're having that conversation with them that they do expect you to do this for free, then you say, I wish you the very best of luck, but I'm not the writer for you. But generally speaking, you're having a conversation with them. You're doing some kind of diagnostics. You're figuring out, what it is that they're trying to achieve, what they think they need to try to do to try and achieve it, what you think they need to do to try and achieve it. And then you're going to say, I do think that I can help you. If we are to work together, I charge 50% up front, and then you'll pay me 50% at the end. And I will give you a very specific proposal on what I think we should do and what my fee is in my terms of service. And then you say, I'll have that to you in 24 hours or 48 hours or whenever you'll have that to them. And we can touch base and talk about any questions you have about that. So yeah, you're working with business people, and generally speaking, business people know that they are going to pay for services. And you'll find as you talk to and listen to professional writers that more professional writers that have been established have stories about losing a job because they didn't propose enough than they do about losing a job because they bid too much. So yeah, people know that they need to pay for this stuff.
Yep.
Great. Thank you both so much. And here's a question that I think a lot of people have during this process. What if my writing absolutely bombs and it's rejected? Or in other words, I'm not a very good writer. So they think.
This is a common fear. And honestly, so I mentioned earlier, the internet is a beautiful place made of second and third and fourth and fifth and sixth chances. Sometimes your writing isn't going to perform the way that you'd hoped. Sometimes it's not going to perform the way that the client hoped. That doesn't mean that you're a bad writer. The best copywriters in the industry that do direct mail pieces are pretty happy if they're landing 1 out of 3 controls. I mean, they're sitting pretty.
Even experienced ones bomb sometimes.
Yeah. So that's going to happen because there are just so many variables that come into things. But there are ways that if you're concerned about your writing, and we all go through moments of this. I had a bad imposter syndrome day like last week. And I've been doing this for 20 years. So that happens. But write every day. Do a deliberate practice of writing. Get feedback on your work. Read a lot. Read about the craft, read about marketing, but also read a lot of other things. And doing all of that, your writing is just going to improve and improve and improve over time. So one mistake, one bomb, one rejection, that's not the end of your career. It really isn't. It might mean that you don't work with that client again.
Yeah.
And that happens sometimes, but that's okay too.
I've had a couple of bombs, believe it or not. I hate to admit. I have, yeah. I mean, I had one client that wouldn't allow me to come up with an offer. So I'm like, if we can't come up with an offer, how's anyone going to respond? And it was just a weird thing. So it didn't work at all. And she was mad at me, and that's the way it goes. And I moved on. You have to. And, it happens.
Yeah.
Oh, did we lose Fran?
We have Jade though.
Yeah, I mean, what a day, guys. We just came. Was stressing in the background, like you cannot believe.
Well, we're still
Everything's fine.
Yeah. You will not believe who has popped into our live. This is very exciting for anybody who doesn't know her, and she has a suggestion. Okay, so Miss Carleen Anglais.
Hi, Carleen.
Hi, Carleen.
If anybody get to know her. Let me just say that before I cut Pam's head off again with her suggestion. Everybody, is what Carleen says. If you're nervous about charging a fee to your client, practice saying your fee while looking in the mirror. You need to be confident and comfortable with your price. If you are, then your client will be too. Don't undersell yourself. Be confident, not cocky.
Very good advice, Carleen. Thank you. Miss you.
Awesome. From the master. You just heard it.
I know. It's so awesome. Who knows who else is out there? I don't see any more questions in here. Just like a lot of positive feedback that they love your responses. Thank you so much. Thanks. And all good stuff. So I'm sorry about me disappearing, but thank you two so much for delivering the content. That's what you did today. So thank you so much. I'll let Pam wrap it up with her goodbye.
Yes, with my queen goodbye. Heather, thank you so much for being part of this.
Thank you.
I highly encourage everyone to go check out Wealthy Web Writer. Heather at the helm. You know how awesome she is, and there's new awesome content every week on there. So a lot to help you with in your journey here. And I'm Pam Foster, Director of Training for AWAI. I thank Fran and Jade for helping us with this. We will see you in upcoming Inside AWAI sessions, one every month, different topic every month. If you have any topic suggestions, please post them in Facebook because we love to see that. We want to know what you're worried about, thinking about, wondering about as far as your career goes, whether it's about the writing opportunities or how to get clients, how to build your business. Bring them on. We'd love to help. Okay, so with that, we'll see you next month. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.